We don't defend the facts we believe. We defend the version of ourselves that believing them requires. That's why, when he's wrong, he never argues the fact. He argues the weather. He told everyone the shortcut would save 10 minutes. It didn't. By the time they pulled in, he was already explaining that today's traffic lights were running unusually long. He didn't say he was wrong. He said the lights were wrong. Same thing happened with the restaurant he recommended. The food was mediocre, the service was slow, and within a week he was telling people the place probably just had an off night. When the stock he'd been recommending to his brother dropped 20%, he didn't say he'd been wrong about the company. He said he was playing the long game. Why does admitting a mistake feel so much worse than just making one? This is the mind we share, and the answer has less to do with facts than you'd expect. At dinner, his wife asked how the stock was doing. He didn't say down, he said, still building position. The sentence came out smooth, already rehearsed, before she'd even finished the question. Later, alone, he opened the app again, looked at the number, closed it. Opened it again 10 minutes later, like it might have changed, out of politeness. He searched the company name, scrolling, until he found an article optimistic enough to screenshot. There's a specific kind of discomfort that shows up when a belief and a fact stop agreeing with each other. Psychologists have a name for it: cognitive dissonance, the tension of holding two things that can't both be true at once. The mind doesn't like holding that tension for long. Usually something has to give, the belief or the story around it. Changing the belief means admitting the original decision was wrong in front of whoever was listening when you made it. Changing the story is faster, quieter, and doesn't require an audience at all. Most of the time, the story wins. In the 1950s, psychologist Leon Festinger and his colleagues studied a small group who believed the world would end on a specific date and that they alone would be saved. When the date passed and nothing happened, logic says the group should have quietly disbanded, embarrassed. Instead, many of them became more committed. They decided their faith had spared the planet. The group was small and unusual, and researchers still debate exactly how far that case generalizes. But the pattern it helped reveal has shown up in much more ordinary places since: voting booths, courtrooms, marriages. The study isn't really about doomsday groups. It's about what happens to anyone when a belief they've built a life around turns out to be wrong. The prediction isn't really what they were protecting. It's what believing it publicly for years said about who they were. That's the part that doesn't show up in the word wrong. Being wrong about a fact costs you a correction. Being wrong about a decision you've defended out loud more than once costs you a version of yourself. It's why a father keeps defending a parenting choice that isn't working, long after the results say otherwise. It's why a man will sit through a 2-hour movie he knew he hated in the first 20 minutes, because walking out would mean admitting he'd chosen wrong. And it's why, in a meeting, a man who privately stopped believing in the plan 3 weeks ago still nods along. Someone asks if everyone's on board. He looks around the room first, not to decide what he thinks, but to see what everyone else is about to do. Then he raises his hand, too. None of this makes him a liar. Liars know the truth and hide it from someone else. This is quieter than that. He's not hiding the truth from the room. He's negotiating with himself, and the room just happens to be listening. He still has the receipt from that restaurant somewhere in a drawer. Not because he needs it, because some part of him is keeping the evidence open, in case he ever needs to argue his own case again. The stock is still down. He still calls it building position. Somewhere underneath that sentence, he probably knows. Knowing isn't the hard part. Saying it out loud is. Maybe that's the real cost of being wrong. Not the mistake itself. The sentence you'd have to say next, and everyone who'd hear it. The lights probably weren't running long that day. He just needed them to be, for about as long as it took to park the car. What's the thing you're still calling part of the plan?